Hi, I'm Josh,
And I'm Amy.
and we just came back from the 2017 Federation Mission to Israel Young Leadership Conference. A group of about 90 individuals, all between 20 and 40, coming from 15 or 16 different federations across the country. But overall, we spent a lot of time visiting different groups within Israel that are helped by the Federation.
The first thing that we did in Israel was in Jerusalem, where we were introduced to Israel by Avram Infeld, and then we went up to the JHC, Jewish Healthcare, where we were introduced to how people in Israel with disabilities live, and we got to play wheelchair basketball. We also met with Zippy Zipper, who was a Colorado native who made Aliyah when she was in her teens, and then she served in the IDF and was subsequently injured while doing a checkpoint. A car ran into her, and she was injured, but it wasn't so bad to begin with. But then it deteriorated, and now she's in a wheelchair. So she was explaining her experiences of how she gets around in Israel and how she advocates for people with disabilities.
And that was something a lot of these groups were doing, was they were finding people who were helping others and giving them a platform and giving them a chance to do more. So Zippy was one of the leaders there at the Jewish Health Center. And everyone there had some disability or another, and they were using that to help other individuals and for pushing the Israeli legislator to pass laws that benefited people with disabilities.
And then after that, it was time for food.
Everyone loves food.
Everyone loves food. And this was another program that was sponsored through the JDC, or one of the Jewish Federation's partners. It's the Ethnic Cooks program. And so everyone loves to eat, as Josh mentioned, and there are a lot of ethnicities beyond your traditional Ashkenazi Jews. So the Jewish Federation and their partners have been involved with helping these cooks who love to cook create a business out of it. And so we got to experience Yemenite cooking by Gila Bashari and her family at their house, basically in a facility behind their house. And boy, was that good.
It was very delicious.
It's very delicious.
And the point of this program was to help out preserving a lot of these cultures that came into Israel. Israel was founded as just an Ashkenazi nation, and what they found was all these Moroccan Jews, the Yemenite Jews, the Arab Jews, all of them brought different parts of Jewish culture, and they're making a mixing pot and saying, you can be Jewish and you can be Jewish, and we can bring them all together. And it was really nice to see that.
We went back to Jerusalem on that very, very busy first official day, where we went to the Kotel, the Western Wall. And that was amazing because we got to experience a Shehekianu at the egalitarian section, and then we traveled on to the various gendered sections of the Western Wall.
After that, we moved on to our last program for that day, and it was a really fun one. It was a group called Sahi that works with high school at-risk youths, people who have a record, or who have boredom and poverty in their neighborhoods. They end up, they're bored, they go out and they start a bonfire, or they go and they graffiti a wall because they have nothing better to do. So this group went and they found these kids and they gave them a job. And their job was to deliver food to the most needy families in their neighborhood. And so what they did was they had these students stealth
ninja.
Yeah, they would go into reconnaissance and find out who in the neighborhood needed the food. And then they would go, and following the Jewish precepts, they'd give them the food without anyone noticing. They'd have one person at the stairwell watching, one person going, ringing the doorbell, dropping the box, and they went and hid. They had to watch to make sure someone came and picked up the food, and that none of their neighbors knew, because it's a big tradition in Judaism to do a mitzvah and not be known, to have it be an anonymous donation. So that was
not to embarrass the recipients of the food as well.
Exactly. So this is a really cool program where they're doing two things. They're helping out the community by donating food, and two, they're helping out the community with these at-risk youths by giving them an opportunity to better themselves and better their community. And they're getting them off the police records and helping them get into the IDF, which is an important step of any Israeli citizen to be part of the community. this is a really cool joint program. We also helped them pack boxes. We packed, I think, close to 200 food donation boxes that night.
The second day was when I got to go to Yad Vashem for the first time ever, and that was a truly remarkable experience.
We went back up and we visited a group on the way north towards the Golan, but this group was an Arab woman, Arab Israeli, so part of about 20% of the population of Israel is Arab or Muslim, and this woman was out of her home doing this wonderful thing of bringing other Arab women together and getting them empowered, getting them a chance to get a job, a chance to learn. She actually had a cabinet in her kitchen that she opened up into a conference room, just to keep it a little bit secret. So she invited the women over here, let me teach you how to cook, let me teach you how to please your husband. And then she opened the kitchen door and they went inside and they learned about other stuff, about how to be how to be a member of society, how to get involved.
So from there, we went up to our hotel in Kfar Blum, which is a kibbutz, and from that evening we had a barbecue with lone IDF soldiers. And then the next day was the adrenaline rush day in that we went ATVing. And before we went to ATVing, we actually met with a lieutenant colonel in the reserve IDF who was telling his experiences with the war in Syria.
And in particular, he was talking about this program the Israelis have had for the past 5 years, where they provide aid to the rebel forces across the border by medevacing them basically to Israel to get medical treatment and then bringing them back across to Syria. And in exchange, these rebels keep ISIS, keep Al-Qaeda, keep the not-so-friendly rebels out of the area. And it's worked. The border between Israel and Syria has been peaceful. There's been no purposeful fire across into Israel. And Israel has also opened up that border to international aid agencies who wish to go across and help out in the humanitarian crisis in Syria. We then went the long drive south back to Tel Aviv.
And in Tel Aviv, we met an organization that is also supported through Jewish Federation that supports the Haredi, the ultra-Orthodox. Now, the ultra-Orthodox are a quickly growing population in Israel, and the problem and the issue is that their poverty level is so high. The men will spend most of their life studying, and they have large families, and the women will train to be teachers. Unfortunately, there are only so many teachers that you can have in such a small country. So some of the men are actually trying to break out of the religious aspect somewhat and take on some more traditional or more secular roles in the workforce.
So this organization would help out and find them positions they could take, find companies who are willing to work with the Haredi and their strict needs. And it's another part of this program is it's Orthodox helping Orthodox. It's not necessarily American Jews coming over and telling them what to do. It's here are the options. If you want it, take it, and giving them that opportunity to learn and to study. And they're also helping out with the girls' schools, giving them more classes than just teaching. So as Amy mentioned, teachers are the main occupation of the Haredi women, but there's too many teachers out there. So as part of the classwork, the girls can choose to be engineers, they can choose to be doctors, and all that is just opening up the possibilities to get them into the workforce and to give them a better life for their kids.
We met people who have non-traditional marriages. It was another program through the Jewish Federation and their partners. We met with a woman who's a converted Jew, or a Jew by choice, and she's in a civil union, I guess, or common law marriage with a Cohen, and that's taboo in the Orthodox or religious marriage. So they've chosen so far not to actually get married in the religious community.
Well, not so much chosen, they can't.
They can't.
In Israel, the only way to be married is by religious authority. And in that case, the religious authority, the rabbinic court, won't marry an Orthodox Kohen and a converted woman. Even though she had an Orthodox conversion, because she's a convert, she can't marry a Kohen. And there were several other couples we met there.
It's a gay couple.
A gay couple, non-religious couples who just didn't want a religious marriage. So this group is working to help these people find their options, what they can do to get married, what they can do, just to be recognized by the state.
We had Havdalah on right by the water on the promenade of Tel Aviv, and 90 people having a Havdalah service in a circle basically right by the water is in the complete dark except for the light of the moon. Kind of inspiring.
So last Sunday we had a talk from Rebecca Cassidy, the head of Federation internationally, and she had a very nice talk about what it is that Federation does and how much good we've done. And leading up to that, we went to a program called Space, which was a group helping out Ethiopian kids with studying and getting accustomed to Israel, because that was one of the biggest things that Federation did back in the late 80s, early 90s, was helping out getting these Ethiopian Jews who wanted to come over to Israel. But now that they're here, they often need help. Their English is not necessarily as good. Their parents certainly don't speak English. Learning Hebrew is hard enough. So the kids are the ones learning Hebrew, and they don't necessarily have the support, the network of help that some of the natural-born Israelis might have, or the American Israelis have. So this program is helping teach them math and English and getting them up to speed, and it's done so well that the government told this group to start letting in non-Ethiopians because it's done such a wonderful job. Their literacy rates, their test scores are better than the national average.
And we want to thank the Jewish Federation of Central Massachusetts for helping subsidize our trip. We clearly would not have been able to go without the help of these funds.
Appreciate the chance to represent our federation internationally and learning from the other federations around.
We want to use our knowledge to share with everybody what we've learned and how other people can experience the same things that we experienced.
And one of the big things Avram and Feld spoke about at our first talk for that trip was how Judaism's not a religion and it's not a nation. It's a people. It's a group of people with a shared history and a shared identity. And I think this trip really highlighted that for me.
And it's a shared mission as well. We're continuing the Jewish faith, the Jewish traditions into the modern world.